The funny thing about marketing is that people want a solution. They don't want to dig into what the problem is. So what I experience a lot is people who just want a logo, or they just want a new website, or they just want a viral following, but they're not willing to kind of take the step back and get under the hood to figure out kind of who they are, what they've been doing, what's working, what's not, and where they want to go and what they need to get there. Right. And that's why we've changed our approach. That seldom do we just like hard quote for a specific service or deliverable. We really need to get under the hood and diagnose, because like most experts, I can't just give you a one size fits all solution without actually really knowing what you need to get to where you want to go.
I think it's an easy solution for these kind of so-called experts. They just want to get you in the door through their own gathering, and then they just want to sell you their preordained solution with like some fancy words around it.
And I've got an example from today. We were providing a proposal to a long-standing client, but they had a big merger, and another company had come in, and I'd put together a quote to just like fix up the website. There were some issues that fell through the cracks, and they had a bit of sticker shock when they came to the price of the website, and they said, "Oh, I've had somebody do this. I've never paid more than it's like $1,300." And I'm like. Okay. I mean, they probably were outsourcing their labor, and I don't know what quality of product you were getting, but it's, we're in the business of selling expertise and time. And it's interesting to what you're kind of saying is, and what we're both saying, just wanting a website or just wanting a logo, like it's not about price. So what are you looking to achieve, and what work needs to go into that to get you to where you want to go? And and it's so interesting because marketing is almost looked down upon. Like it really is respected, and most people know that marketing is kind of everything. But when it comes to paying for where you want to go, that's when people can associate
value.
Yeah, value and price point. And it becomes like I'm like fighting against myself for work that I have no idea what that person would ever have provided for $1,300.
Yeah. Well, I just think your point, think of it in context of even medical care, right? You can go to 4 different medical practitioners and they recommend 4 different treatment options for your pain. Yeah. One loves surgery, one loves homeopathy, one loves chiro. Right? They're going to try to sell you that solution.
Totally.
Right? As opposed to saying, what are you doing every day? Maybe get a stand-up desk and the pain goes away. But the 4 experts will try to sell you what they like to sell. And I think, the way that you go about with your clients insisting on a discovery where you actually dig deep into what's going on allows you to better prescribe what they need to fix their problem. So Camille, probably what a lot of people don't know about you is that you're a giant fan of golf, and your game is dramatically improving, as I've seen on the course when you beat me last week. Which there were some handicaps there that I think were unfair, but you love golf. But one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about golf and how it relates to marketing, that people may understand my personal struggle. So I love the game of golf. And last year I encountered a critical moment in a tournament where my swing completely disappeared. So it's not like you can throw a football and then one day you can't throw a football, but in golf it happened. And I think you and I were doing some tournaments around there. So you realized the frustration. You saw the complete and utter demolition of a once proud golfer into a bag of weeping mess. Your game was getting better, but I went to about 6 different experts to fix it, which would be a golf instructor. Yeah. Right. And it's like when a business goes to an expert for marketing, right? Just because they call themselves an expert or they're labeled as an instructor or a marketer or they've done it, doesn't mean that they're the right fit for you or that they're actually as good as they are. So I went over 6 months to six or 7 different instructors and nobody would fix it. But I remember telling them, my grip feels off. And they just were like, well, put your weight on your back foot, do the rotation here. And I was getting inundated with these suggestions. And it wasn't until I finally just found like this low-key guy when I said, I've told all these people there's something wrong with my grip. And he actually took this time to like study film for like 20 minutes, me swinging in the grip. And he comes up, he goes, do this. And then all of a sudden my swing was back. And I think it relates to your philosophy of you don't prescribe to companies a solution until you actually study what's going on with them, right? And do you see that? Because I see it in the marketing companies. Somebody comes to them and says, I have a problem, and then they just prescribe them a solution that doesn't really relate to what they need.
That's what sucks about being in marketing, and why why I love talking about it and ripping apart what's going on in agencies is that people are so focused on dollars and budget and price. They're not actually focused on doing strategy and like going back to simple principles. Like, how can we make people do what we want to do in the most effective way? And that takes time to think through, to create personas, to develop content strategy, marketing mix. And from there, once that work is done, figure out what mediums we're going to use to achieve those aims. Like, what I'm actually seeing is people coming in and being like, so I've got $1 million budget. Sure. I'll do your discovery. But, I need to have at least 40% for TV. And I'm like, and how much is that going to cost? And I'm like, okay, well, whoa, like, who's to say that you need TV? Like, you just told me you're getting the majority of your conversions through paid digital ads at a fraction of the cost. Wouldn't you rather us create a plan that makes sense based off of your actual data? We don't need to be everywhere at all times, blowing your budget. Let's pull this back, look under the hood, have a meaningful and thoughtful analysis on how and what has been working, and then figure out the best way forward. Because I have brands that radio really works, like really, really works for them. Like, the months that we don't have radio, no matter how much we put on digital, like it outplays, but it's a very specific brand. It's a very specific brand message, and it has a very generic target market persona. Where I have other clients where if I put the money in radio, we'd be like, it's literally be a cash barbecue. Like, let's get the steaks. Like, we're going to like burn some money.
Yeah. And so trust is important with working with your experts, because when a client comes in and says, hey, I want 40% TV, and I remember this client you're talking about, we would have made way more money had we done what they asked us to do. And instead you kind of narrowed down and said, this is where you get the most bang for your buck. And we were able to charge them less and get better results. But there are many people who will just do whatever the client asks because it's an opportunity to get money. But you listened to everything and said, whoa, you don't really need to do this. Let's double down here. And they got higher than expected results, but you were willing to walk away from the extra money to do what was best for the client in that case.
Totally. And I think that's what's missing in marketing is there's just so many yes men. Like, clients, because of TikTok and Instagram, and it's a fantastic, you should be informed, you should be educated, and you can watch videos, but they're misinterpreting the internet. They're misinterpreting the information that they can receive on the internet, and they're regurgitating it to marketing teams, and marketing teams aren't pushing back, and their bad decisions are being made, and it's just creating like a vicious cycle of shit marketing, so much money being spent, agencies making so much money, and it not being efficient or effective. And you have to work with someone that is willing to steer you in the right direction, spend your money honestly, and not listen to your opinions on marketing. I don't go in and give a surgeon, how I want to be cut open, right? I can just say, hey, I don't really want a scar. But other than that, you let the expert do what they're best at.